Hey guys, it's me again, making another video. This one being a top 10 video instead of a top 5 like I originally planned. Now, unfortunately, the reason why I'm doing a top 10 instead of a top 5 is because thinking of a top 5 was difficult for this particular subject that I'm going to mention in the video. Anyway, this top 10 list features pricing games where, of course, people want to win what else? Like what most announcers say, it's a brand new car! Okay, sorry about that horrible impression of one of the announcers, but that was just to give you an idea that this top 10 video focuses on my top 10 favorite pricing games that involves winning a brand new car. Let's just get on with the list and not have to worry about that horrible voice again. Number 10. Number 10 belongs to more or less. Putting number 10 was more difficult than you think, but in the end, more or less ended up at number 10. Now, before you play for the car, you have to play for the first 3 items. They could be kitchen appliances, new TVs, some bicycles, or stuff like that. You're given a price for every item, and your job is to predict whether the actual price is more or less expensive than the price you're showing. If you're correct, you get to keep playing. But if you're wrong, you get whatever you get along the way. If you blow it at the first try, you get El Zippo. But if you blow it at some point, that's whatever the previous prizes you've won, that's what you get. And the game ends. Now, hopefully you'll be lucky enough to get towards the new car, where you have to predict whether the actual price to the car is more or less expensive than the price you're given. Unfortunately, for most episodes I see, most people have blown it, but this is still number 10 on my list of favorite pricing games. Number 9. Number 9 belongs to the Golden Road. Now, it's sad that this game isn't being played as much often because either people lose at it or it's hard to find items less than 98 cents, where, if you can see where I'm going, finding items less than $1 is not as easy as you can think, because this game doesn't get played as much often, which that's one of the reasons why. And another thing I would like to point out is, to play this game, all you have to do is, the first item you're given has 2 digits in it. It's something cents. And one of those 2 numbers belongs to the first prize you're playing for. Get it right, you get to keep going further down the Golden Road. Then you'll have a 4-digit prize, but you use the price tag of the previous item you won, and use one of the digits for that, and then you'll win that prize. At the end of the Golden Road, back when Bob was still hosting, the end prize was usually a motorhome, but for most episodes I've seen recently, it's a very expensive car. Unfortunately, for almost every episode I've seen, they end up losing. They pick the wrong number, sadly, so kind of a shame. We have yet to have a Golden Road winner, sadly, but that doesn't stop me for putting this at number 9 on my top 10 favorite pricing games. I just wish this game played more often, where they can start using items more than $1 or something, like a minimum of $10, where they could start using that instead of using cents like they've been using years, because finding stuff less than $1 is not as easy as it seems. So that's number 9. Let's go to number 8. Number 8. Number 8 is Master Key. You could win either 1 of 3 prizes. Of course, 1 of 3 prizes is a brand new car. In order to pick a key, you can't pick one right off the bat. You have to earn them, but that's what's to be expected for most Price is Right pricing games. Like this one, for example. Unless this is the British version, that one they gave you a key just for being there. Now, there are 5 keys total. 1 will open the first prize, 1 will open the second prize, 1 will open the new car. 1 key you want to avoid, that's the dud key. That won't open anything. Stay away from that one at all costs. And the last one is the name of the game, the Master Key. The Master Key will open all the locks, and you'll win everything if you pick that one. The only way to lose Master Key is not to earn a key or to pick the dud key. Hopefully that doesn't happen at all. But the best way to win Master Key is if you win the new car or everything with the Master Key. Hopefully one of the 2 keys or the only 1 key you pick is the Master Key. This is number 8 on my list. Let's move on to number 7. Number 7. Number 7 goes to the pricing game that was first ever played on the first ever edition of Price is Right with Bob Barker. I'm talking about Any Number. This is the first ever pricing game ever played in the existence of the Price is Right. The object of the game is to pick a number from 1 to 0, and none of the numbers repeat, so every number fills in those blank spots, except for the first digit of the price of the car. That's a free number. but when it first debuted, there was only 4 digits to the price of the car. And the object of the game is to pick a number and try to light up all the numbers to the car. The second prize wouldn't be too bad. It's just basically a laptop or a pair of sunglasses or some other nice prizes. The one you want to avoid is the piggy bank. Like what Drew always says on the show, the only thing the piggy bank's good for is getting a burger after the show. That you don't want to get, because if you do, you get the losing horns, or as Drew likes to say, trombone. So any number is a great pricing game. In fact, this is how the game started originally on the show. So that's number 7. Let's look at number 6. Number 6. Number 6 belongs to One Away. The object of the game is to, obviously, fill in the right price of the car. All the numbers you start off with are one away from the actual number, whether it's higher or lower than the actual number. Like, for example, you're given a 3 at the beginning for the first digit of the car, and you have to predict if it's either a 4 or a 2, but everybody would know it'd be a 2. Then the second number is either a 5 or a 3 if it's a 4, and so on and so on. After you predict which numbers are right, they go to the Mighty Sound Effects Lady. Yes, I like how Drew Carey's version of Price is Right. They call him the Mighty Sound Effects Lady. Bob only calls them the gentlemen or ladies. I prefer the Mighty Sound Effects Lady. Whoever thought of that idea should be given a Nobel Prize. And you have to ask the Mighty Sound Effects Lady if you have one number right, then 2, then 3, then 4, and maybe all 5. If you do have at least one, or right, you'll hear a car horn every time you ask if you have at least that many numbers right. If you hear silence, that's their way of saying, sorry, you don't have that many numbers right. And you'll have to change them to the right numbers. If you change them correctly, you'll win the car. But if you have at least one number wrong or change the wrong number, you lose. Overall, One Way is a good, simple game. Let's move on to number 5. Number 5. Number 5 goes to a pricing game that needs to be played more often. I'm talking about 3 Strikes, of course. This game only gets played when they're playing for a very expensive car. They need to play this in general, not just for expensive cars. The game is simple. All you do is draw numbers out of the bag. There are 5 numbers in there. If there's like a 1, a 5, a 6, a 7, and a 0, for example. And your job is to pull out the numbers and put them in the right spot. If you put them in the right spot, they put the number away and it will light up on the board. But if you try to put it in the wrong spot, you'll hear a buzzing noise, or the viewers at home will see the word no. And then they would have to put the number back in the bag and shuffle up the bag. If they pull out the 1 strike or 3 strikes, a strike will light up, and 3 strikes, game over. But if the game's also over if you light up all the numbers before you get the 3 strikes. Overall, I think this game needs to be played more often. Mike Richards, if you're watching this, I would rather you have 3 strikes played, not just for expensive cars, but in general. That's number 5. Let's move on to number 4. Number 4. Spelling Bee. The object of the game is to spell the word car. You start off by getting 2 free numbers, and in order to get the last 3, you have to price items. There are 11 C's, 11 A's, and 6 R's, and only 2 cards that say the word car. And in order to get the 3 picks, you have to be within $10 to pick more numbers. However, if you get one of them on the nose, you'll get all 3 prizes, and you get to pick all 3 numbers regardless. If you spell the word car, you win the card. And if each card is worth 1,000. It used to be 500 back when Bob hosted. Now, one contestant actually won a car because she spelled car 3 times. That was amazing. Look up Amy's Perfect Spelling Bee if you want to find that winning moment. So that's number 4 on my favorite pricing games. Let's move on to number 3. Number 3. Number 3 belongs to Let 'em Roll. This is a simple game. All you have to do is roll a bunch of dice out of a bucket and try to get 5 car symbols. Every die has 3 car symbols on the dice, while the other 3 are cash amounts ranging from 500 to 1,500. I think it should be 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 because it's 2016. Maybe Mike Richards should increase the value on the dice, but that probably won't happen, but hey, it should happen. Anyway, Let 'em Roll's number 3. You start off with 1 free roll, but in order to get the extra 2, you have to price items. Well, you have to predict if the next item to the first one is higher or lower to the previous item. If you predict correctly, you'll get a pick. If you predict incorrectly, well, you won't get an extra pick or an extra chance to roll the dice. On the first roll, whatever you get, If you have any car symbols, if you have all 5, you win the car automatically. But if you have any that aren't the car, you could choose to roll again, or you could take the cash and call it good, depending on how many rolls you have. If you only have 1 roll, then what you get is what you get. So that's number 3. Let's look at number 2. Number 2. Number 2 is gas money. There's actually 2 versions of gas money. There's the debut version and there's the recent version. The debut version involves you pick what you think is the price of the car, and then they will reveal the other 4 down the line, hoping that it's not the pink slip to the car. You want the pink slip to the car at the top that you predicted first. And you want to hope the others are the money amounts, which are 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. If the ones at the bottom are the cash amounts, then you win the car. But if the pink slip is at the bottom and you end up putting one of the cash amounts at the top, well, you better hope that you stop at a good time. Otherwise, you won't get anything. On the newer version of gas money, I prefer the newer version because of the money scale. Whichever cash amount you pick, you'll see the money scale go up. And the object to the current version is to avoid the price of the car. My friend prefers the older version because some people accidentally pick the price of the car, but I don't mind the current version. I kind of like it, so I'm not going to start an argument there. That's number 2. Now let's take a look at my number 1 favorite pricing game, winning a new car. And now my number 1 favorite pricing game, winning a new car. Ah yes, Pass the Buck. This is a simple game. Behind 1 number is the car. Behind 4 of the numbers are cash amounts, which are 1,000, 3,000, and 5,000. And behind 2 of the numbers are lose everything, which you want to stay away at all costs. Because if you pick those along the line, you get nothing. Unless you pick those first, then you'll win something for sure. You start off with 1 free pick, and to get the other 2, you have to price some items. One of them is priced correctly, the other needs an extra $1, so you pass the buck to the one that you think needs the extra $1. Now, when Pass the Buck debuted on The Price is Right, there was actually 8 numbers instead of 6. There was actually a $2,000 and another lose everything. So you had automobile, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, and 3 lose everythings. But if if they choose to go back to the 8 numbers like when it debuted, I think it should be automobile, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and 5,000, and only 2 lose everything. And for the picks, I would actually combine both the classic and modern version of Pass the Buck, where you earn all 3 picks, and you get a free pick right off the bat. So you would have 4 picks. So you have 2 chances to hit and lose everything, and you could win something good. Heck, I think that'd be a consideration that CBS should do. I hope they're taking notes from this, but I'll talk about Pass the Buck in another video because this is my favorite pricing game to win a new car and some additional cash as well, which is why this is number 1 on my list. So there you have it, my top 10 favorite pricing games that involves winning a brand new car on The Price is Right, and some cash as well, depending on which game you're playing. If your favorite pricing game did not make the list, it's probably in the honorable mentions list, so look for that in the description. Now, I was going to add this part into the video on why Stack the Deck is a failure when it comes to pricing games, and why they should discontinue it immediately, but due to time length, it would have made this video over 15 minutes, so I'll have to make a separate video on this, so look forward to that one. And for the record, Stack the Deck is the worst pricing game, next to On the Spot, so this is going to get its own separate video, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, like what Bob and Drew always says, help control the pet population, have your pet spayed or neutered. See you next time on another video. This is CuteMimi25 signing off.